Hey guys, how are you doing today? So, what would you guys think when you hear about the term nature photography? Something nature related, right? Well, I was once there trying to figure out the same meaning but never gained the confidence to look up what's it about. Until a strange situation occurred. An image of me sitting at a lake gazing at nature, taken by a family member on August 2019. As a month went by, I started to look more closely into the image and I realized this is what I wanted to do. Like, this should be my hobby. Hence, I researched the term nature photography and came up with a simple definition that nature photography deals with natural elements such as landscape, plants, and close ups of natural scenes and texture. I was excited and started to look more into the history of nature photography. It all started back in 1826 when Joseph Nipsey, a French inventor, took what is widely regarded as being the first photograph according to the invention of photography by R. Taylor in 2002. As of right now, you may already have a general idea of nature photography. What I would like to inform you guys about today are some key components that you may need to know on your next adventure in order to take that dramatic image of nature you may have seen somewhere around. For instance, what are the key types of equipment used, how to create an image of nature, and software programs used to edit these images. When speaking about photography equipment, the first thing that should come to mind is a camera. For beginners, nothing too expensive to hurt your pocket, but if you want to go more into nature photography, you should try using medium format cameras or view cameras according to an article on how to photograph from New York Institute of Photography on July 3rd, 2010. When choosing lenses, it will depend on the landscape, subject, and your position relative to it. Often, a wide-angle lens make it possible to cram a great deal of view in your photograph, said Misham Hector on her recent article, Instant Improve Your Wildlife Photography. However, if you're at the Grand Canyon, you may find using telephone lenses to isolate an interesting portion of this massive natural wonder make more sense from an article by National Geographic on famous lenses photographers use. If the sun is in your photograph or just outside the frame you've selected, there's a danger of flare, as quoted from Mickham Wecker on her recent article, Wildlife Photography, on the difference between making a photograph and taking a photograph. For this reason, it makes sense to use lens hood or lens shield to prevent unwanted flare in your photograph. Tripod, known as monopod, a three-leg stand for supporting a camera, which will be used by many photographers who love making landscape images. As quoted from Franz Lating, nothing can ruin a landscape photograph more quickly than a shaky camera. So always use a tripod when taking landscape photograph. So now you can imagine you have your equipment all ready to shoot. You may wonder how could I go about creating an image of nature? Like I discussed earlier. The first step is to get familiar with your camera setting. Shooting in RAW produce the best quality photos. Use the lowest ISO possible so you could bring more light to your image, but make sure you adjust your shutter speed to compensate. According to a blog on 10 natural tips for beginners from American Forest by Kate Carlin. Second is to look at the work of other photographers in your category. For instance, I look at Steve M.C. Curry, a famous American photographer known for his evocative color photography. Again, idea on how to create a strong image, an image that provides feelings. Third is the rule of thirds. It's a golden rule in photography. Imagine the image is cut equally into 9 sections divided by 2 vertical and horizontal lines. Each intersecting lines is where the eye usually falls. Placing your subject on the intersecting lines or in one of the square can make for a more dynamic photo, were the words of Kate Carlin on the 10 tips for beginners. However, there are many other ways on how to create nature image, but these are the basics. Now, imagine that you have your image. The next process is editing that image. Editing is equally as important as taking a photograph. In order to edit image, we use software programs such as Adobe, known for the most popular editing software. There are many reasons why Adobe is a trusted platform to work with. For one, Adobe Certified Expert guides you step by step through your editing process for beginners. Second, it sort of became an industry standard. It's one that even Franz Latin used, known for his 35 years of service in nature photography. However, if you're still simply a beginner in image editing and not quite ready to pull the trigger and invest in a legitimate paid software, there's a free option you could play with. GIMP stands for GNU Image Manipulating Program, is widely considered one of the best free platform available. But if but it will just take more time, stated a Tech Radar article by MC Recon. Now that you have learned what is nature photography and some of the key components used, which is the key types of equipment used, how to create a nature image, and software used for editing, you're all set to take that dramatic image of nature you may have seen somewhere around on your next adventure. Always remember, if you want to take a quality nature photograph, you have to have the mind of a scientist and the eyes of a poet. The famous Ansel Adams once said, "It's not an easy job, but just a little creativity and keep on trying with patience, and you could do it. Nothing is hard."